first of all, thank you so much for your time.
Sure, man. Absolutely.
So
My
much
pleasure.
for doing this. All the best with Ashes of Aries, which is an incredible name, by the way. And I do not know how you came up with that.
Well, it's sort of, we were kicking around different band names, and the concept for me, because I like duality in things. I even do it in my lyrics oftentimes. So depending on how you perceive it or how you read the lyric, kind of in the same way with the title, is how you could perceive it. So for my idea with Ashes of Aries is it could go one of two ways. Either Aries is strong enough and does what he does, influences humanity to finally destroy itself, hence the ashes of humanity, or humanity rises to the occasion and does away with war, and the ashes then are that of Aries. So we don't need war anymore. So, you can perceive it, one of a couple ways, one of two ways. That's at least in my mind. So, and that's the way that I floated the idea to at that time, Freddie and Van, and we all agreed that was, cool name. And then we, worked on the logo and things like that. And of course, the our band logo was designed by Van Williams, because he's a graphic artist, and so that's kind of where it went. That was my idea. That was the concept, and just so happened, we're everything, and obviously the Greek gods were extremely influential on Western civilization, right? So just the concept, and has certainly been an influence in pop culture of late. As a matter of fact, it's funny. I just saw the trailer. My sons and I went to see Superman last night, and I just saw the trailer for Tron Ares, which could be cool. I don't know. I'm not sure how Tron, the world of Tron, is using Ares in that, but it's interesting. So we'll see how that goes. It looks beautiful. I mean, as far as the graphics and all that, the CGI looks pretty awesome. But we'll see how that goes.
There's a lot of people saying that the new Superman movie is maybe the best one, and it's quite debatable, if you ask me.
It is debatable, and I think the reason is if you're I think my take on it is I love Superman no matter what form I'm getting. I mean, unless somebody just absolutely abhorrently tears it apart. But I understand going into it that I'm going to get that director's version of Superman or that writer's version of Superman. As far as it was, to me, it was exactly what I expected. James Gunn's version of Superman, which I really like James Gunn's work. I mean, loved all of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and it's got that feel. It's got a little bit more, tongue in cheek and playfulness and things like that, bright colors and things like that. Just the way that the cinematography is, but what I think that it lacks, and it's really all point of view. It lacks the emotional connection, somewhat, that I got from Man of Steel. I have a very emotional connection to Man of Steel. Matter of fact, I wrote a song about that version, or at least the way that Zack Snyder's version of Superman made me feel. I wrote The Alien based on that, and basically it was about two fathers' love for the same son, and I can relate because I have sons, and I can relate to that love, and that's the emotional connection that I have with that movie, and I think that Zack Snyder nailed it. This one kind of skips past a lot of that. There's still that connection with Jonathan Kent, but at the same time, it lacks that emotional connection. It jumps right into the action, which I'm fine with. I'm 100% fine with that version of it because I know the story with Superman. So you know, it's really just a matter how you perceive it. Just go into it knowing. And I had this idea for a long time. I think that that's exactly what they should do with these characters. Rather than build universes around them, I think that they should, like for instance, Batman. I I love all the versions of Batman, and I think that if you, yes, you can drop out the origin story on a lot of those. You don't really have to, like Batman v Superman. Snyder just touched on that origin story a little bit, and that was it. Came back in dreams and all that. That's perfect, no problem. We all get where the origin is. But if you gave separate Batman stories to separate directors and said, "Hey, give me your version of Batman," like really world renowned directors, give me your version of it, and I would love to see that. I would love to see 5 different directors' versions of Batman and writers of their stories, just like the comics. The comics are all different. You have a character that you know the origin for, but at the same time, if you just gave them to these artists and said, "Hey, give me your version of it," I would probably love every one of them, because the core is still there. It's just the different taste and technique. And I absolutely love the Batman. Matt Reeves' version is dark and gritty and crime story stuff. That to me is Batman. But then again, the Ben Affleck version is big and like just over the top, competing with superheroes, or the Zack Snyder version of him is just over the top, competing with superheroes, people that have metahumans or whatever, and he can hold his own. I don't think Matt Reeves' version of Batman could hold his own with so it's just really a matter of how you write the character and how you place them into a particular universe. So yeah, I guess getting back, long story short, I really did enjoy this version of Superman. It's just different. That's all. It doesn't have that deep emotional thing going on for it, but it jumps right into the action and gives a cool story. So I dig it.
I really like what you said, and I would love to see the 5 different versions of the directors and writers about Judge Dredd, for instance.
Yes.
That would be something.
Yes.
Speaking of superheroes, to your sons, you are their superhero, their own Superman, and you know that because you're their dad. And for the sons, the children, the dad is always their Superman. They think
Yeah.
he can do everything.
It's a huge responsibility. Well, yes, it's a huge responsibility, but at the same time, and I really make sure that my guys know this, and I'm not one of those dads that goes, I'm always right. I'm 100% opposite of that. I tell them all the time, "Hey, I can be wrong. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and neither will you be." That, I think that's really important for kids to know, that their parents are just humans, and when we're going and doing the best that we can with what we've got and the tools, because we don't have, everybody makes the joke about there's no parent manual. I mean, yes, there are parenting books and things like that, but again, those are written by humans who are absolutely flawed human beings as well. So there is no manual that comes with each child, because each child is born with a very unique personality and characteristics. I have 2 sons. They're 2 years apart, and they are completely different as far as their personalities are concerned. One's extremely, one's introverted, one's extremely extroverted. They love each other. They're their best friends, but they're completely different human beings. So it's you have to parent per child. You can't treat each child the same. You try to be fair, but you can't necessarily always be equal, because they're not the same children. And I think that that's a really important part of it as well. So anyway, sorry.
How old are they?
They're 19 and 17.
Very cool. Very cool.
Soon both my kids will be adults, technically.
You get to see concerts with your kids. That's the best thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually we took we did a small Southwest tour a couple years ago, and we took our kids with us. We kind of turned it into a family vacation a little bit. We had we bought rented the minivan and had the kids in there, and we got to go. We went to the shows and kind of set up. We had some opening bands and things like that, and we were able to we did a handful of shows. We did 4 or 5 shows, but it was fun, and I think they had a good time. they got to see the not so great side of touring, dragging. But it was pretty fun though. I think they had a good time.
Um, Speaking of tours and new things to come, you have your fourth album coming up. So, what can you tell me about anticipation for New Messiahs, for getting it on the road, for getting all the way with the press and the feedback, and whatever a new album brings along? You must be really excited. You must be looking forward to the upcoming tour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We really are. I mean, we're excited about the record release. We've been sitting on this record for about a year. It's just taken a while to get things going. As far as the labels, we had our label merged with another label, and we became fish in a much larger pond. So we had to kind of wait our turn as releases go. Which is fine. It's just tough when you got a record that you're really proud of and you're sitting on it. It is kind of tough. Um, at the same time, it's super psyched that it's out, that it's coming out. It's almost there. We can almost taste it, and the reviews that we've gotten are pretty good. I mean, I haven't heard anything completely terrible, so that's good. Obviously opinions are going to vary. We've gotten, some are like it's a 10, some are like it's an 8, some 7.5. Hey, it's all good, and I understand that reviews are just really based on what your tastes are. So if you're reviewing it and you like the kind of metal that we do, then I would imagine most people are going to probably dig it. If you don't, then you're probably not. So we, we know who our fan base is. We do try to honor that with every record that we do. I mean, we honor it by doing what we do. Freddie and I, whenever we're writing, we get into our mood and go, hey, is this the best possible direction the Ashes of Aries can go? And we selective of our songs and riffs and lyrical content and things like that. So we do it first to make sure that we're happy with it, and then once at that point we're like, okay, I think this is good. We're happy with it. I think that folks are going to dig it. If there's ever any question about that, then we go, I'm not sure if this is going to be when we've had songs that didn't quite make the cut before. So, when we're shooting for a record, we're trying to shoot for, 10 to 12 songs in there, maybe with a cover tune. And we hit that mark. So that's good. We usually shoot for at least, hey, 10 solid. And then if we've got extra material or something that we think is good and cool and will work, then we'll throw that in as a bonus for us. I mean, it's not, nobody else knows what the bonus song is. But that's like, okay, we'll push this one because we really like this one, and we don't want to necessarily wait for the next record to put it on. So we just pop it on there, and I think that pushes us too, because it's not like we've got like material like hanging out, so whenever we go start writing the next record, we're kind of starting fresh. But yeah, we're super psyched that the record's coming out. We're looking forward to our tour. We've got, I think we've got all of our dates set. I haven't been given the go sign by our manager to release those yet, but as soon as he gives me the thumbs up, I'll put them out on social media to let everybody know where we are. I mean, most of the shows, everybody knows that, the Athens shows, we had 2 shows in Athens, booked. Well, we had one booked, we sold it out, and then we
Right.
sold out another. We opened up the doors for another evening, which is great because it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool playing 2 shows in one spot. Especially because it's I don't that means I don't necessarily have to travel. I can I can go and then relax and just rest for a day. The rest of them are pretty much a lot of travel. We're doing more shows throughout Europe on this tour than we did before. We were primarily shows in Greece the last tour, which was phenomenal. It was very cool getting out, but it's nice to be able to get out to other countries as well, because I know folks have been kind of waiting on us for a while. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as soon as, like I said, as soon as I'm given the high sign, I will put all those dates out and share them with the folks. So, but we are playing quite a few other countries, so that's cool. And in a very short amount of time, I think we've got 13 shows in like 14 days. So it's a lot of shows in a compact.
Traveling, yeah. The title of the album, would you say that it's the outcome of a sarcastic remark based on a very creative way of thinking about these famous, infamous new messiahs?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's very, very tongue in cheek. I mean, as far as the lyrical content and the delivery, it's funny because that was one of the things that I really enjoyed, like about, and I'm not saying that I took the idea, but maybe inspired a little bit by Iron Maiden. Some of their lyrics are oftentimes very kind of tongue in cheek and things like that, and the deliveries has a very, very much a hint of sarcasm, right? So, and that's kind of the way that I deliver it from the point of view of the new messiahs who essentially are to me, they're the ones behind the veil. I mean, I think that we see people up front, and yes, they take the heat. The politicians, the big the big industrialists and things like that. But I think they're probably more behind the scenes, pulling the strings and all that, right? So kind of manipulating our lives, and we have to be realistic about that. They are, whether it's malicious or not, their actions, because of their positions of power, whether in industry or government or whatever, they affect all of our lives, right? And of course, if you're in a position of power like that, if you are a person, I mean, be realistic. If certain people, even though they say, well, they have the power, and I gotta say, we're humans, right? We're all flawed. If you somehow ended up in a position of power like that, and you believe in your heart of hearts that you are doing the best, that you are the best thinker, you're the best of what humanity has to offer, wouldn't you then think that your opinions and your beliefs are the best? And if you had that power, would you not use that to influence people into believing what you believe? So I think that there's a lot of that goes on, because it's the human factor, right? We're all flawed. Every single one of us is flawed. Whether it's and typically, let's face it with that as well. People in power are oftentimes narcissistic. So you have a narcissism, and that drives them to be who they are. I was actually, my wife turned me on to this article that she was reading, and she said that a large percentage, if you want to break it down on a psychological thing, a large percentage of surgeons, especially neurosurgeons, heart surgeons, people that tend to be narcissists. But wouldn't you want a narcissist to be the person that's cracking open your chest, because they perceive themselves in a certain way, like, I cannot fail, I will not fail, and you have to have that certain drive. So I like to, whenever I'm writing something, I like to sort of think of both sides of it, and I'm not saying that one way or another that the new messiahs are malevolent or benevolent, but they certainly feel as though they're right. And there's only certain things that you have to do to, partake of their grace and guidance, and that's follow, right? So that was kind of my take on it. Maybe I got a little too heavy sitting in my studio going, how should I roll with this? But that's kind of my take on it. And so hopefully I I don't necessarily like to steer people as far as the meaning of songs, and maybe somebody has a different meaning for it. But I think that there still lies in that duality, like I was talking about, like with the title Ashes, with our band name Ashes Varies. You can look at this song two different ways. You can look at it as a now I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at it sort of a tongue in cheek, like the way the lyrics are formed. They're formed that way intentionally, because I think that you can either say this person is, or these people, or they think a certain way because of this, because they want to rule everyone, or they think of it, but I think at the end of the day, you know control is a thing, and people that typically get power want to keep power, and so part of that factors in. There has to be a certain amount of factoring in of control. You don't want to lose what you got, and so you'll see that throughout history. That's just a fact of human nature. We typically don't want to lose what we have, and a person in power or people in power are going to be much the same way.
Matt, Ashes of Aries is the epitome of your amazing chemistry with Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that it exemplifies that you are having a great chemistry in
Yeah,
creating?
I think we do, man. I think our chemistry started back when we both, well, when I went back with Iced Earth in 2007, and Freddie joined the band as the touring bass player in 2007. I mean, we hit it off right away, right out of the gate. We spent, quite a few, you know, quite a lot of time on the road together. Whenever, hotels were divvied out, it was usually Freddie and we were roommates. So we spent a lot of time together, hanging, talking. Just so we have that chemistry to begin with, and then with with writing, when we started Ashes of Aries in 2012, it was after well, actually we kind of started forming it before that, obviously, but we had actually started talking about doing something together and writing when we were in Iced Earth. So we're like, hey, it would be cool to do something outside of this. So after I and then Freddie went on tour with them. He performed on Dystopia, and we started thinking about doing a record, or writing music together back when we were in Iced Earth. So as soon as Freddie exited the band, he contacted me and said, asked do you want to do something? And I said, so we got together. We had some material. We got together, like, one on one, kind of figured out what our direction was, what our game plan was. We ended up buying recording rigs, Pro Tools rigs. Pretty much whenever we write, it's just sharing files back and forth and getting on the phone, emailing, talking about things, and just seeing what direction we're going. And we both really rely on each other and trust each other's judgment as far as how the music is going. And then if there's ever any question as far as different parts or different things, we just say, hey, I really like this is really cool, or this, I don't think this is working. And then we just change it. We just change direction. So we don't argue about stuff. There's never been like and on the other side of it, if one of us feels really strongly about one particular section and the other one doesn't, then we always go with the person that feels really strongly about it. And just for instance, and I can't remember which song it is, but I remember when we were doing this record, there's a really cool, like, little bass line part, and I had done a vocal over top of it. And Freddie says, man, I really like what you're doing, but I really think that bass line needs to come out. It really sets the tone and the mood for this transition. And I'm like, okay, no worries, man, I'll take it out. And I didn't necessarily need that vocal in there. It was just a part that I was kind of jamming on and vibing on, but it wasn't necessary. The the idea of the song was still there, and the lyrics were all there, and so it it just was just a little. It's just like little things like that. That's what I'm saying. And we don't argue, we don't quibble. We just go with whatever the other person feels strongly about, and usually it makes the difference in the songs. It makes it a better song. So we are true writing partners in that regard.
And these partners are bringing out the Dark Saga, revived. It's a rebirth, isn't it? You're bringing it live.
Yeah, it's something new, man. Because as far as I know, maybe there's been some Iced Earth cover bands or something that have done the whole record live, but Iced Earth never did, to my knowledge. And we at one point I think we did all the songs through different tours, but never together in one shot. So I think it's cool, because it'll be from start to finish. There won't be anything in between. We're not going to put our songs in between the songs. We're going to do it from start to finish.
Right.
And we'll bookend it with Ashes of Aries songs. But we wanted to make sure that we kept the integrity of the record from start to finish, because that's part of it for us, is that crowd participation and knowing what the next song is going to be, and kind of getting hyped about that. And because that's what I get hyped on, because I've listened to the Dark Saga about 1 million times, and it's not that hey, all he does is listen to his own music. But back then, when I was younger, and I was like, that was my second Iced Earth record, man, I was like, this is so cool. I can't believe I'm part of this record. It was such a cool thing. And I listened to it a lot. As to me, memorization has always worked better. If I listen to something over and over and over again, it's far better than sitting there and reading lyrics. Because then I'm linking what I'm singing with the music, and it's not, I don't have to have a lyric sheet there, because it's all locked in. I had somebody ask me a while ago, another interviewer asked me, is it going to be tough learning those Iced Earth songs? No, because I've sang them, and I've heard them so many times. on tour and everything. The lyrics are just like locked in. I went out and started practicing last month, just rehearsing and getting everything. And it was amazing how it just all clicked, one song after the other, and just, just the whole. Yeah. So it's really cool, man. I'm excited about it. And I'm excited about, being able to present it in a way to folks. And I think it's going to be cool, man. I think it's going to be really a tribute to the record, and a tribute to the fans. And, they're going to be a part of it. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a really, really good time.
Thank you so much for your time. I wish you nothing but the best for the new Messiahs, and of course the upcoming tour. We'll see you in Athens.
All right.
Live, sold out one show, second show, sold out. A few minutes, I suppose. Have a great time. Thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, Costas. And I look forward to seeing you. Absolutely. Take care, man.
Great time. All the best.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.